I want to go back to my theme from my remarks, that this is all about accountability. I want to go to Washington as your next senator from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, not to be part of some national movement, but to simply be the best senator from Kentucky that I can be, and to never forget who sent me there. And that's a pledge that I make to you this day, that that's how I'll comport myself as your next United States Senator. My opponent came up and tried to put his comments on Ken Salazar. Yes, Ken Salazar said that they were going to keep their foot on the neck of BP. My opponent said it's un-American to talk about going after British Petroleum and your criticism of business like that. He went on to say that sometimes accidents just happen. And it didn't stop there. He went further to put it in the context of coal mining accidents. That is a cold and callous worldview that doesn't speak well to the issue of accountability, which is so important right now as we try to reform Wall Street, we try to rein in spending, we try to make certain that regulators are actually doing their job. That's the issue. That's the issue. And it's not limited to his comments about British Petroleum. Look at what he has said on doing away with all OSHA regulations, what he said on fair housing, on the Americans with Disabilities Act. I could go on and on and on. This is about efficient government, effective government, prudent regulation, and regulators who do their jobs. That's the type of government I want, and that's what I will strive for if you honor me by electing me as your next United States Senator. Now, on the sweetheart deal for the pharmaceutical companies, let me correct the record. The sweetheart deal for the pharmaceutical companies was put in place, and I believe it was 2003 or 2004, but it was when President George W. Bush passed Medicare Part D, creating a very large prescription drug benefit. Now, what I know from Medicaid fraud is that the Medicaid program can negotiate in bulk for lower prescription prices. And when they weren't truthful with the Commonwealth of Kentucky about their average wholesale prices, we went after them as Attorney General to hold them accountable. The VA can negotiate for lower drug prices. Medicare cannot, because of the sweetheart deal that was cut during the Bush administration. And it should have never been taken off the table in this most recent health care reform debate. And if I'm elected to the United States Senate, the first bill I will introduce will be a piece of legislation to say that Medicare can negotiate for lower drug prices because it will save this country $200 billion. I will stand up for fiscal responsibility. I will stand up for the recipients of Medicare, and I will not be standing up for the pharmaceutical companies who cut themselves a sweetheart deal. On cap and trade, I've been very consistent. Here's my criteria for looking at any piece of energy legislation that will come before me in the United States Senate. Number one, does it do right by Kentucky coal and make certain that Kentucky coal is an important generation source for the future? Number two, do we protect our strategic electricity rate advantage? There's a reason there are a lot of auto manufacturers, a lot of aluminum smelters, steel workers here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. It's because we have low electricity rates, and I'm always going to preserve that strategic advantage. Number three, is this a system where brokers and traders are going to get rich? If so, count me out. And fourth and finally, we need to make certain that China and India and other emerging economies are playing by the same rules that we play by. And when you put cap and trade up against those criteria, it fails. It would cost the average Kentucky family at least $1,800 a year, according to Obama's own Treasury Department. Here's an instance where I'm being independent for Kentucky and breaking with the administration, and I will always do that when I am your next United States Senator. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to address those issues.